Hi everyone, my name is Colleen Francis. I'm the president and founder of Engage Selling Solutions, and I'm so excited to be with you today on this very special day for HubSpot. So I hope that you have lots of paper and a couple of good pens so you don't run out of ink, because I expect you'll be taking lots of notes during our 20-25 minutes together. Because what we're going to be discussing is something that isn't very commonly discussed. What I really want to dive into today is why sales teams don't seem to be improving their closing ratios from the past 15 or 20 years, yet we are faced with our marketing teams being better and better than ever on giving us high quality leads and lots of those leads. So here's how I started to think about this. I was working with a client a number of years ago whose business was stagnating. She just couldn't grow her company past the $45 million mark. And it had been maybe 3 years or so. And she had invested heavily in a marketing program. She'd put $1 million into her marketing budget, and she had very successful outbound campaigns. She had very successful inbound campaigns. And her sales team, believe it or not, would say, we have never before in the history of selling for this company had such a full pipeline of high quality leads from marketing. I mean, when was the last time you actually heard a sales team compliment their marketing department? But fascinating to discover that their sales team weren't closing any more of those leads, and so their revenue was stagnating. And when we started to dive into it, we started to realize that while we had really changed and improved the efficiency of the sales process, we hadn't changed the effectiveness of the sales process. And in fact, marketing was leaving us a little bit behind, and frankly, sales was a little bit frustrated. So we started to really detail this in the book that I wrote, Nonstop Sales Boom. And we discovered that the sales teams who are doing their best at absolutely crushing their closing ratios and taking advantage of every single one of those leads that marketing is sending to them inbound is that they follow a very simple 4-step client engagement process that we have dubbed Sales Radar. And we're going to dive into each of these sections during our time together to give you some ideas of how you can use Sales Radar to help improve your closing ratios. Those 4 steps on the Sales Radar are going to be client attraction and client participation, client growth, and client leverage. So why don't we take a look at the first 2 right now, attraction and participation. So as you're seeing on the slide right now, when it comes to participation and attraction, there are 2 things that we have to pay attention to. One is what I call B to all, and we'll get to what that means in a second. And 2, we have to transfer our selling skills from a sales process to facilitating a buying process. So what the heck is B to all anyways? Well, I truly believe that in today's selling environment, the best companies have stopped calling themselves B2B companies or B2C companies, and they've realized that they are B to all companies, meaning that they finally have realized that the way a consumer makes a decision to buy a consumer product is exactly the way a business is making a decision to buy a business product. Well, why is that? Well, first of all, the obvious reason is because businesses don't make decisions at all. Individuals make those decisions, right? And as more and more buyers, individual buyers inside corporations, are buying consumer products online, offline, they are becoming different buyers. In fact, I always say to people, the way I buy jeans online is exactly the way I'm now buying multi-million-dollar pieces of equipment for my business. The 2 are intrinsically linked, and the smartest companies are taking advantage of this. They realize that they have to transfer all of the skills, all of the techniques, all of the marketing programs that companies are using to attract and retain the consumer buyer directly into the business-to-business marketplace. And that's what I mean by B to all. Now, the smartest salespeople are also using those techniques. So what are some of the client techniques that the best B2B customers that I have are using in the marketplace? Well, 1, their salespeople are becoming experts. What they're doing is, rather than just selling products, They're writing articles, they're making statements, they're doing comparison pieces, they're giving presentations that show that they are experts. They're using visuals, they're telling stories, they're using examples, they're capturing testimonials and case studies of all of their products out there because they know that their buyers are going to be online looking for solutions, and they have to pepper the marketplace with all of those different proof points. Because just think about it, as a consumer, when you're buying something, be it a hotel, a pair of jeans, a pair of shoes, a new purse, makeup, some protein powder on Amazon, what's the first thing you do? You look for proof. You look for the star ratings. You look for all the reviews. How does it fit? What do people see? And that is the same behavior that buyers in the business space are also using to make decisions. So how do we transfer our own business-to-business type sale into this B2all environment? The most important thing you can do is to use testimonials, proof, visuals, stories, and pepper the web. Pepper all your traditional and non-traditional marketing sources with them, because that is the proof that your customers now need in order to buy from you. So the second point that you saw on the slide was facilitating a buying decision. And I think that this is quite a revolutionary change that we're seeing in the marketplace now. You know, when I started selling 15, 25 years ago, trying not to age myself too badly here, we were taught a sales process, and we were taught, well, if you don't have a sales process, then the buyer is going to trick you into their buying process and you're never going to be able to sell them anything. Well, now the exact opposite is true. Buyers want to follow their buying process. And in fact, when I go out and I see salespeople in the field and I analyze what's working and what's not, I noticed more often than not that the seller and the buyer, when they're at odds with each other in the process, the sale doesn't happen. We need to be in sync with the way the buyer is doing business. We need to be in sync with the way they want to buy our products. When we try to overlay an artificial sales process on that, they get irritated, they get agitated, and they go somewhere else. And let's face it, they have a lot more choices today than they ever have. And so your best option as a salesperson is to uncover early what are the steps that they're going to take in order to be ready to buy a product. Who's going to be involved? What steps are there? What proof points do they need? What presentations do they need? Who's going to be involved in the pricing? How will you develop value? How will you determine objectives? All of those steps need to be handled up front so you get a very clear picture of how this organization is going to make a decision, and then we leverage our knowledge of that to facilitate them making a decision much more quickly. You will find that if you align yourself with the way the buyer wants to make a decision, their buying process, you will close more deals more quickly at a much higher value. So we've taken a look at how to sell in a B2all environment and to facilitate a buying decision so we're selling more quickly. The next step is how to grow our businesses. And we really dove into this in Nonstop Sales Boom because this is the one piece that I think that most salespeople aren't doing effectively enough to really get ahead of the market and shrink those closing ratios. So let's take a look at growth. As you can see, what I'm really advocating in our growth section here is that everybody needs to be a profit center. The best businesses, those that have the tightest closing ratios and are growing the fastest, turn every one of their departments into a profit center. What the heck do I mean by this, and how as a seller are you going to take advantage of this? Well, think about it this way. Every person who touches the customer or talks to the customer can be your partner in helping to grow the business. Now, I know they don't want to be salespeople. Maybe you've got delivery people or installers or consultants, customer service people. They don't want to be salespeople, and they certainly don't want to sell anything. And that's okay. We don't want them to sell anything either. What we do want them to do, though, is two important things. One, we want them to spot opportunities. You as a salesperson or you as a sales manager need to train each one of your organizations to ask questions to try to spot opportunities. For example, one of my clients who has some delivery people all they did was train their delivery people on how to ask, hey, what other projects are you working on? Just in casual conversation as they were unloading product. As a result, they got some interesting information they could feed back to the sales team, who could then call the customer. Customer service teams were trained to ask questions like, have you taken a look at our latest flyer? Can I get your email address? What other projects are you working on? How's your day going? Just casual conversation that can then lead to the customer telling you about new things that are going on. And now we've turned delivery people and customer service people into opportunity spotters, which then allows us, of course, to create more sales. The other piece that's so critical that as salespeople we need to train our customers on is ensuring that when anybody, any of our customers at any level, senior levels or junior levels, has an interaction with us, we leave that customer feeling better about us as a company than they did when they started the interaction. So we have to train them and give them guidance on how best to communicate with them in emails and, of course, in conversation. How do we handle their problems? What are polite and professional ways to talk to them? How do we say please and thank you? How do we sound like we always have a smile on our face? Because think about it, that customer has an interaction with an installer, a delivery person, an accounts payable person, an accounts receivable person. They talk to your customer service, they talk to quality assurance, they talk to tech support, and every single time they talk to someone, they're left with an opinion of your brand in their mind. And if that opinion, that feeling is negative, it erodes trust and rapport with your company, making it more difficult for you to sell additional products and services to them. The third thing that we should be training everybody in the company to do is to help you develop wider and deeper relationships. Have them help you build out their org chart. Because you might have people in your organization who are involved post-sale with the customer on, again, installations or payments or tech support or delivery, who can develop relationships with different people in the organization. And every one of those people are critical for you in order to help you grow. You cannot grow, and you will not grow inside your accounts if you stick to building and nurturing a relationship with a single buyer. Growth comes from when you develop that org chart, that matrix out wide as well as deep. Think about it this way, as one of my clients so aptly put it, there's no such thing as a bad contact inside these accounts. You either have buyers, influencers, or spies, and they can all provide you really great information. So make sure you're turning everybody into a profit center. And you as a salesperson have to take control of the team that you're putting in front of the customer. Train them to spot opportunities. Train them to teach the customer to make sure that they feel good about the interaction, and train them to help create new contacts for yourself. So let's talk about leverage, which is my favorite component because it incorporates two very distinct ideas that are going to help accelerate your sales. And when you accelerate sales, you are outperforming everyone in your industry, which I think is where you all want to be. So we are going to leverage our customer experience by having our best mentor our rest. And this is two different concepts, really tied into one. One, we're going to have our best customers mentor the rest of our buyers. What does that mean? Well, we are going to have them talk to our customers. We're going to have them use their sites as reference sites. We are going to showcase them in speeches and in presentations. We're going to interview them in live environments, like training environments like this or webinars. We're going to build communities where our best customers help our customers who are struggling. We're going to create communities where our best customers get together, share best practices, and also help us to develop new products and solutions. We're going to create an environment where our best customers shine and promote the fact that they're shining. So when we do this and we build this successful best practice community, we do a number of things. One, we ensure that all of our other customers who are doing okay or struggling actually are raised up. Because when we showcase our best customers and have them help everybody else, then all of these other customers want to be like that person, right? They want to be those A players and they're attracted to that. Also, when we showcase our best customers, other buyers are attracted to our communities. Because let's face it, customers believe customers first. Prospects believe our customers first, right? They're always going to believe what our customers are saying and doing in the marketplace more than they believe us. Why? Well, because we're the salespeople, and they know that we are talking about our products and our successes because we sell them. It's not that our buyers think we're lying or don't believe our marketing communication. It's just that they believe our customers because they're like them. Like attracts like believes like. So when you create these communities of practice, you're both going to elevate your current customer base. Your current customers are going to help your existing customers use the product better, use more options, accelerate their own adoption and become best practices. And you're also going to attract the best buyers to you because you have your customers advocating on your behalf. Now, the other side of have your best men to your rest is this. Your organization doesn't need any more sales training. Yep, I actually went on record as saying that in this sales training session. Well, what do I mean by that? You actually need to capture the best practices of what your best salespeople are doing and implement and leverage those across the whole organization. I mean, let's face it, somebody out there in your team is the number one guy or the number one girl, right? And if that person is having huge success in your marketplace today, talking to your customers, then don't we want to know what that person is doing? I really believe that if you can get out there and capture those best practices, maybe ride along or listen to sales calls from your number one salesperson. If you're a manager listening to this, go out and document what that person is doing and then train the rest of those teams in those practices. Or have that number one person train the rest of the team by having them present a 5 or 10 minute conversation during a sales meeting about a big win or coming back from adversity. When you can do that, you elevate the whole team because sellers are going to believe their peers first. They're always going to look at that number one guy or number one girl and say, hey, if they can do it, I can do it too. And so I believe that having your best salespeople mentor the rest of your sales team is one of the fastest tracks to acceleration. And also, it's one of the ways that you can start closing or shrinking those closing ratios and actually improve your sales process. Don't worry about overlaying a sales process or sales techniques that have been around for decades or, God forbid, even centuries. Focus on what is working in the market today with your practitioners and have those skills applied across the organization. I guarantee you, when you do this and do this well, you accelerate sales faster than anything you can do in your marketplace. So there you have it. Let's summarize for a second. Sales radar is the key to accelerating your sales by shrinking those closing ratios. In the attraction and participation stages of Sales Radar, we're going to really focus on creating a B2all environment and ensuring that you're taking the best sales skills from the consumer marketing and applying them to business and vice versa. We're also going to get rid of our sales process, our artificial sales process, a one-size-fits-all sales process, and make sure that we're paying attention to facilitating the buying decision. We want to be in sync with our buyers, not in We want to be in sync with our buyers, not moving in opposite directions to our buyers. Then, when we look at growth, we need to make sure that we as sellers facilitate a team environment and make everyone a profit center. Take the responsibility of making sure that every single person in your organization that has communication with the customer, either written or verbal or on-site, is trained in a way that creates growth. And lastly, leverage. Have your best, mentor your rest. Meaning, have your best customers mentor the environment and the community that you want to sell in, and have your best sellers mentor the rest of your sales team on the best practices. If you employ Sales Radar in your organization, you will accelerate sales and you will shrink closing ratios. And for once, sales teams won't be left behind when marketing produces huge amounts of high-quality leads, as they're so skilled in doing today. You know, it's been my great pleasure to be with you today. What an awesome day that HubSpot has put together in terms of sales development, new ideas, and fresh thinking. I encourage you to stay in touch, keep the dialogue going, and of course, if you have any questions or feedback on this course or any of the work that we're doing on Engaged Selling, do not hesitate to reach out. You are always welcome to visit us at engagedselling.com or at any of our social media channels. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.